speak English like a native. Join my VIP program or my pronunciation course or Power English course at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. Another walk and talk today. It's a hot, humid, sunny day in Osaka, Japan. There are a few wispy clouds, wispy white clouds in the sky. Wispy means very kind of long and thin, very light and thin, not thick, not strong. Wispy, W-I-S-P-Y. A few wispy white clouds in the sky. Mostly it's blue sky and sunny and hot. You can hear the traffic. I am walking next to a busy highway. Walking next to the busy highway that goes from my apartment building all the way into the center of Osaka, all the way to the north part of the city of Osaka. This one road runs north-south. It's a highway. When it's downtown, it's called Midosuji Street. And there is also a Midosuji subway line that is underneath that road. And that is probably the busiest subway line. Now today, the subways in Osaka are closed. They're closed. They stopped the trains. Why did they do that? Well, it's connected to me not getting enough sleep. I got woken up this morning by an earthquake. So I'm sleeping. I'm kind of, lightly sleeping in my bed. Suddenly I feel this shaking and the kind of noise, the rattling, of things kind of banging around in our apartment. And I realized, oh my God, an earthquake, a fairly strong one. Not super strong, but strong enough. 1 second, sirens, noise, 1 second. Oh, this is what I hate about the city. I hate this kind of noise. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Ay, 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 ay. City life. I want to get out to the countryside. Ay, ay, ay. Noise, noise, noise. All right, so I was woken up today by an earthquake. I think it was in our area about 4.9, 5.0, something like that. I think the center, my wife Tomoe found out, I think it was north of Osaka. So we were in south of Osaka, so we were not at the center of the earthquake. But it was strong enough to wake me up. It's probably the strongest one I have felt since living in Osaka. Like I said, it kind of woke me up. It woke Tomoe up. And I couldn't get back to sleep after that. I was wide awake. So cut my sleep short. Earthquakes, that's something I had to get used to. In Georgia, where I grew up, the southeast part of America, they don't have earthquakes. And I had never experienced an earthquake until my first time coming to Japan. It was the same kind of thing. I was woken up in the really early morning, and my house was shaking, and I was confused. I was asleep, suddenly I'm waking up. The house is shaking. I didn't know what was happening. I thought there was a storm or something. In fact, in our LearnRealEnglish.com course, the first lesson is called Earthquakes, and we have a conversation about this and a lesson about this. So it's a little disconcerting, we say. Disconcerting means it makes you feel uneasy, right? Makes you feel uncomfortable when everything's shaking and you don't know what's happening. And of course you're worried, like, oh my God, I hope the building doesn't fall down. You know, all these kind of scary thoughts pop up in your head. But no problem, no damage. But in Japan, when they have a earthquake like this that's big enough that, you know, that it could possibly cause damage, then the trains get all turned off. So all the trains turn off, the elevators in buildings turn off, and then they don't turn on again until they check them. So the reason there are no trains today, no subways, although they may be back on by now, I'm not sure. But at least earlier today, they were not working because they were checking all the train lines to make sure nothing's broken, so there's no accident. And then all the different buildings with elevators, the elevator technicians will have to come around and check and make sure there's no damage, that they're safe, then they'll turn them back on again. So the Japanese have a lot of experience with earthquakes, as you probably know. So they know how to handle it. Japan has more earthquakes than California. I lived in San Francisco also, but the entire time living in San Francisco, I don't know, maybe felt one or two small ones, but they were not that frequent. But I have felt more earthquakes living here in Japan. They happen more often. I think it's more active here. But luckily, like I said, everything seems like it's okay. No major damage or anything. I hope you're following me on Instagram. My Instagram is Effortless English Club. Effortless English Club. Instagram's kind of nice. I like it. Photos and short videos. So it's a fun way to communicate with you, with Effortless English fans, Effortless English members of the courses. Even more fun, last night I had a VIP teleseminar for VIP members, and the cool thing about the VIP teleseminars is that you, the VIP members, you get to talk, right? So it's not just text chat, it's actual voice. So I got to hear the voices of several of our VIP members. I know their names from social media, but had not heard their voices. So really good to hear their voices. We had a discussion about this month's VIP lesson, which is a persuasion technique, and the members shared their comments, their ideas about the lesson, and also asked me some questions about the lesson and other questions in general. So it's just nice to have a chat, a little conversation with the VIP members very directly. So thank you to the VIP members who spoke last night. I know sometimes, some of you said that you were nervous about speaking. First, that you felt nervous about speaking to me. You felt nervous about speaking kind of in this public way because the teleseminar, everybody can hear you. So I know that, there can be this nervous feeling, but you did a good job. Everybody who spoke during this VIP teleseminar, you did a really good job. You guys sounded great. I know you maybe felt nervous, but no problem. You spoke well. I could clearly understand all of you. You communicated well. We had good discussions. We had some very good discussions and conversations. So thanks again for taking that chance and participating. Because when you do that, you show the other members that, hey, you can do it too. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be nervous. You can still do it. So by you doing it, you're helping other members. So it's a great way to contribute. And we will do another VIP. We'll do another VIP teleseminar soon, maybe in a couple weeks. So VIP members, watch your email. on Instagram, Effortless English Club. That's my official account, Effortless English Club. On Instagram, I put a picture of a piece of pizza. It was a lunch I was having. I was having a piece of pizza. And, man, that one got a lot of comments. I was surprised. A lot of people were worried because they thought, oh my God, it's an unhealthy lunch. And other people thought, oh, I thought you were vegan. And anyway, kind of funny. Yes, I do sometimes eat bad stuff. I'm human. I like to have healthy food, and here in Japan, it means I get a lot of fish. I have, my dinners are always healthy. My wife cooks Japanese food usually, and my breakfasts are pretty healthy. But sometimes my lunches are not very healthy, because sometimes, in fact, usually I'm out during lunch. Right, I'm out. Well, I'm in Namba. I'm out working or walking or doing things. And sometimes I just want food fast, right? I'm kind of busy, and so I'll grab something like pizza, or I'll get something that's not so healthy. So lunch is my weak point of eating. And a few days ago, I had a piece of pizza and put it on Instagram and got some funny comments. But some people did ask me, oh, I thought you were vegan now. And I'm not. I thought I'd go ahead and talk about this because I know some people I've done in the past when I was a I was vegetarian for many years. I think I was a vegetarian for 12 years. And I also tried to be vegan for a little while, but that didn't last long. That was... I did not do well as a vegan. I mean, in the beginning, I thought I was doing well, but actually very quickly started having problems. And my wife had a lot of problems trying to do it. So now I'm not vegetarian and I'm not vegan. I would say I'm probably close to eating what might be called a primal diet. So there's two more kinds of diets now that are fairly popular. One's called primal and one's called paleo. You may have heard of paleo, is fairly famous. So we've got all these different kinds of diets. So let me just explain what these words mean, because you may read them sometime on the internet, you may hear them in the news, and you might be confused. What's the difference between vegan, vegetarian, primal, paleo? There's also the SAD diet, S-A-D, which is also a little bit of a joke because it means the standard American diet, the standard American diet, which is a SAD diet, and meaning it's super unhealthy, which it is. The standard American diet is horrible. Americans are probably the most unhealthy people in all the world, maybe challenged by the British, who are also fat and unhealthy. It's kind of close. Who eats worse food? Who's the least healthy? Americans or British? They're in competition for the most sad diet. So basically what has happened is that the traditional American diet of my grandparents was perfectly healthy. No problem at all. Their generation was healthy. They ate well. They didn't have, huge amounts of diabetes and all these and horrible diseases now that are caused by diet. But then it started in the 1950s, is this industrial food, okay? It's basically like factory farming, factory food, processed food, food in a box, food in a can, right? Not fresh, not whole. That started in the 50s, my parents' generation, and then it has gotten, bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and more and more and more and more until now. The standard American diet is mostly processed food. The standard Americans, who are so fat and unhealthy, are eating mostly stuff from a can or a box, and that includes restaurant foods because most restaurants in America serve crap food also from cans and boxes. If you look in their kitchens, they're just full of cans and boxes and processed junk, chemical food. And so, as this sad diet has created a huge, massive, horrible health crisis in America. Some people call it, as a joke, the Fatpocalypse. The Fatpocalypse. Which is trying to laugh at something that's a tragedy. But apocalypse is combining the word fat and apocalypse. Apocalypse is the end of the world, right? It's the big battle. In Christianity, it's the big battle between the forces of hell and the devil against the forces of heaven, God and the angels. Similar to the Ragnarok of the Vikings, right? Where the Titans and the giants have a final battle at the end and everything's destroyed. Well, so Fatpocalypse means it's like an apocalypse of fat. It is basically that the health situation in America is so bad now, it's like the whole country's collapsing. And it's true. The amount of fat, the amount of diabetes, the amount of people who can't even walk for like 30 minutes without being exhausted. It's sad. I mean, it's nice to joke about it, to try to laugh about it because the truth is the situation is so horrible and sad and terrible. Now, if you visit America and you go to one of the major cities, a big city like New York or San Francisco, you won't notice it so much because there are a few cities in America where people must walk. They're too crowded, it's too hard to drive around all the time. So people have to walk, and because they have to walk, they're more thin, they're a little healthier. But when you go to lots of places in America, you'll know what I'm talking about. But Americans also have a rebel streak, an independent streak. So, as a reaction against this sad diet and all the terrible health problems, many new diets have come up to try to solve these horrible, horrible problems of health and this terrible, sad American diet. And that's why why you hear coming out of America all these different kinds of diets. People are trying to figure out what's the healthiest way to eat, and because they know it's not the way Americans eat. And so you have a vegan diet. A vegan diet is no animal products, nothing from an animal at all. I mean, many of the vegans are so strict they won't eat honey, because they say honey comes from an animal, that a bee is an animal. So they can become quite extreme. They won't eat butter, they won't eat cheese, they won't drink milk. It doesn't matter if it's from a factory farm or not. It doesn't matter if the animal's happy or not. You know, there's a little bit of a religious aspect to it, honestly. Now, my good friends Kristen and Joe are vegans, but there's definitely, it's almost a kind of religious thing, really. So there's the vegan diet. Vegetarian diet is similar, but vegetarian diet is really focused on not killing animals. So they will eat animal products if the animal's not killed. So milk is okay for vegetarians. Cheese is okay for vegetarians. Honey is okay. Yogurt's fine. That kind of stuff. Butter's okay. Eggs are okay. So that's vegan, which is the most strict on that side, with the no animal side. And then vegetarian, which is less strict, which is basically no meat. No meat, no fish. Those, like I said, are somewhat focused on health, but I think really more those diets are focused on, like, animals and all this, don't hurt the animals, that kind of stuff. Now, on the other side, people who do eat meat, there are two main popular diets right now. One's called the primal and one's called paleo. And now these diets come from a focus on health. So these diets are developed by people who are trying to figure out what's the healthiest, most natural way for humans to eat, right? And they're looking at hunter-gatherers, right? So the way humans evolved, if you look 50,000 years ago, they didn't eat from cans and boxes and chemicals and all that. What did they do? Well, the men hunted their food, they hunted animals, and the women gathered wild plants. That's it. Plants and animals. Fresh, unprocessed, meaning close to nature, right? Not some chemical factory process. And perfect. And this is the paleo diet, by the way. This is what's called the paleo diet. Some people call it the caveman diet. What the cavemen, right? It's so when we were living in the toughest time for humans, when we had to, there was no medicine, no modern technology, and still somehow humans were tough enough to survive winters and to survive all of the hardship. That's what they ate. The paleo diet. Now that paleo diet, the most extreme paleo diet would be a wild paleo diet, where you would actually hunt food. So you would not eat animals from farming. You would actually go out and hunt. And actually, in America, a lot of paleo people are hunters also. Most are not hunters, but there are a lot who are. So paleo, it's only meat, fruit, vegetables, nuts, natural foods, basically. Primal is a version of paleo, but it's a little less strict. So primal is the same as paleo, so meat, fish, fruit, veggies, and then also they add in dairy, so they'll add in cheese, milk. So that's the difference between primal and paleo. If you hear people talk about primal or paleo, usually the difference, it's mainly like dairy stuff, cheese, milk. Now the paleo diet, a lot of people have had good success on the paleo diet who have various health problems, like especially digestive problems, stomach problems, which are very common in America also because of this SAD diet. There's a lot of really horrible digestive problems that people have, skin problems, all kinds of diseases caused by the terrible diet. And many of these people, if they go on a paleo diet, get better. They get much better, much stronger, much healthier. The difference, the primal people and the paleo people sometimes argue about milk and dairy. And basically the difference seems to be that, some people have no problem digesting milk, cream, cheese. And it makes sense, I think some cultures, historically, if you look back thousands of years, have had and eaten milk and cheese and things like that. And then other cultures, other races, have not. Classic example are Asian people. Traditionally have not, most of them have not, like Japanese, have not had a lot of milk and cheese in their diet. And so many have problems. If they drink too much milk or eat too much cheese, they'll get digestive problems. On the other hand, my ancestors, Vikings from Denmark and Scottish people and people from the far, far north, have a long tradition of cheese, dairy, milk, and generally do just fine with it and don't have any problems. So that's the basic difference. So what am I now? What am I now? I mean, honestly, I'm loose, so I don't try to give myself, some kind of rules that like a religion, like I can never do this, I can never do that. It's just that's exhausting and stressful. But overall, I think the great Jack LaLanne said it best, which is just eat real food. Eat real food. So this would probably be close to a paleo or a primal diet that he was eating. And Jack LaLanne, super healthy, super fit, lived far into his 90s with lots of energy, quite strong, very impressive. So the simplest is just eat real food. Eat real food means avoid the stuff from boxes, avoid the stuff from cans. Try to eat food as close to nature as possible. Fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, meats, fishes. If you can get those wild, even better. Or raised on small farms, eating natural foods, like a cow eating grass instead of some kind of processed food, which a lot of the cows and animals get when they're on huge, big factory farms. So as close to natural, as close to traditional as possible. And I think that is what works best. Because once again, it's trusting our ancestors. Trusting that thousands of years of living and thousands of years of generations surviving, they figured some things out. They figured out how to be healthy. They figured out what kind of diet worked best for them. And so, just like I say, read old books, because the old books tend to have the greatest knowledge that has survived for a long time, this is knowledge and experience that has proven to be good and powerful and useful. I would say the same about diets and eating. So whether you choose vegan or vegetarian, primal or paleo or whatever, I think, again, just getting close to nature, eating real foods with the least amount of processing possible. As fresh as possible, preferably from local farms, small farms. That's what works the best. That seems to be the healthiest. That's the main point I can see in people who are healthy, because I've seen healthy people with all different kinds of diets. I've seen healthy vegetarians who run, marathons and things. And I've also seen some really healthy primal guys who run marathons and lift heavy weights and do all kinds of incredible things and live a long time. And there's, the examples of people like Jack LaLanne. And they eat a wide variety of food. They eat lots of fruits and vegetables. They eat natural foods, and they tend to avoid processed junk as much as possible. As for me, I'm not quite Jack LaLanne. I do have my weak points sometimes. Sometimes I'll eat some sweets or something. Sometimes I'll have a pizza, as you guys saw. But I generally try to follow that Jack LaLanne principle now and just try to be more flexible. I found for me, the vegan diet, I started having health problems after a while. After a pretty short while, and I found I just couldn't do it. I also found the vegan diet was very, very stressful to do, that I was always thinking about these rules that I'd made for food and stressing out. Does this have meat in it? Does this have anything with animals? And it just started creating lots of stress in my life. And I just thought, well, this is kind of going against the point. The stress is not healthy either. And then traveling, it was always a nightmare traveling as a vegan. because in many places around the world, very, very, very hard to eat vegan food. Most places, I'd say. And I just got tired of dealing with that. And I said, I really was not feeling very good on the diet after a while. I did it pretty good as a vegetarian, I have to say. So including eggs and dairy, I was getting enough protein and good fats and things. So I did okay as a vegetarian, but I have to say I am enjoying just being flexible now, trying to focus on, just more general, healthy, natural foods is working for me just fine. And it's so much less stressful. So I can just relax about food now. I can just try things, right? Wherever I go, I don't have to worry if it contains some ingredient that I have decided I'll never eat. Instead, I can just say, yeah, I'll try that. I can just point to stuff and try it. It's a lot more enjoyable, a lot less stressful. Now, the other half of the equation of health and energy and all that, and aging well, whatever your age is the exercise part, the fitness part, right? Because it's, on one side, it's what we eat, but it's also how we move. And this is why I encourage you. This is why I'm doing walk-in talks, right? I could just do sit-in talks all the time. But I like walking. Walking for me is the most basic. This would be the baseline of fitness. Remember I talked about the financial baseline, like that kind of lowest level. Well, in a way, walking is sort of like that for me, fitness-wise, meaning it's the lowest, most basic form of exercise, the simplest form of exercise to stay healthy and fit. I go like in waves or cycles with exercise. So there'll be times where I'll go many months, even a year or more, where I'll be kind of focused more on strength, and I'll be doing lots of pull-ups and push-ups and things. And then for some reason I'll change, and I might start focusing more on endurance. So jogging or running or doing a marathon or something like that. And this changes, the mix changes. And sometimes I'll find like I'm just tired of doing an exercise program. Like it feels too, too organized. I'm just sort of tired of it. I just want to relax and not think about it. And at those times, I just walk. So even if I stop lifting weights, even if I stop, or mostly stop doing calisthenics, even if I stop jogging or running, I find that as long as I keep walking a lot, that I keep a very good level of fitness. And then later, several months later, 6 months later, whatever, when I get motivated again to do something more difficult, that I can very easily start something more difficult. That walking keeps my basic level of fitness strong. So lately, I haven't been running or jogging probably for a year. But I know tomorrow I could go out and run 5K easily. I had no problem running 5K because of how much walking I'm doing. As long as I keep doing a lot of walking, jogging or running is no problem. I'm still doing calisthenics, but I've been going very, very easy lately. But I know I could jump into that again and just start doing more difficult without any problem. And the great thing about this, walking, is that almost anybody can do it. I mean, as long as you have some level of basic health, you can do it. If you're old, you can do it. If you're young, you can do it. It doesn't matter. If you're a little weak, you can do it. If you're overweight, you can still do it. Okay? Anybody can walk. Maybe you can't walk 2.5 hours like me, but you can certainly walk. The other great thing, as I've mentioned before, walking is that you can do other things while you walk. You can talk to someone while you walk. That's nice. So it can be social. If you have a friend or family member who wants to join you, you can walk along and you can have a nice chat, which is great. Or you can just look around, because it's slower. It's easy to look around and notice things. It can be a kind of meditation almost. That's also nice. Or you can think about stuff, solve problems while you're walking. Think of creative ideas while you're walking. I do that a lot, where I think of ideas for shows or whatever. Or, as you all certainly know, you can listen to English. You can listen to Effortless English while walking. Yeah, I just recently got a common question where, AJ, when I listen to English, sometimes I get tired, sometimes I get sleepy. What should I do? And my simple answer is go for a walk. You can't sleep while you're walking. If you're walking and listening to English, you will not fall asleep. You will stay awake. Just that little bit of exercise will keep you awake. It will keep your brain, your mind awake. It'll keep your concentration up. Walking and learning is great. It's one of the reasons I don't like schools. Another reason I don't like schools. Too much sitting on your butt. All those poor students are just sitting on their butts all day, getting tired and bored. Imagine a school where people were outdoors, walking and moving while they learned. It'd be kind of cool. Well, you don't have to imagine, because you've got a school right in your phone and you're using it right now. That's what's really great. These great cell phones, they're with internet connections. I mean, they're like portable universities, except they're better than universities. They're better, far better. And you can enjoy them and learn with them while you're outdoors going for a nice walk. So at least, if you want to be healthy, at the very least, walk every day. Some of you are doing much more than that. Great, good for you, fantastic. I know a lot of you bike and you lift weights and you do martial arts and you run. Oh, big train going by. So I know a lot of you do all that kind of stuff, and good for you. Good for you. Do calisthenics. But if you don't do any of that stuff, or maybe sometimes you just get busy, sometimes you get tired, whatever, always keep walking. Just make sure you walk every day. I recommend a minimum of 1 hour. 1 hour a day walking, minimum. That's only 3 miles or 5K going at a fairly slow pace. That's just kind of like an average, fairly slow walking speed, pace. You'll do about 3 miles in an hour or 5K. That's a good minimal amount every day. You'll really see good benefits. If you haven't done it before and you start doing this, in 1 month you'll be feeling much better. I promise you. You'll be feeling much better. Listen to English while you do it. Then you get an hour of English plus this hour of basic exercise. And you know what? Even if you are doing heavier exercises, more intense exercises, I still recommend that you walk 1 hour per day. Because for people who are more athletic, who are already have good fitness, walking is a kind of active rest. It's an actually better way to rest your body than just to lay around and do nothing. And why is that? The reason is, like, let's say you're a runner, a hard runner, fast runner. You do a lot of training running. And, your legs get tired, right? You got tired legs, they're sore. So if you just lay around and do nothing, then a lot of the lactic acid, right, from the muscles that makes your muscles sore, just kind of sits in your muscles. You can start getting kind of stiff. So it's actually sometimes better to have what's called active rest. Athletes call this active rest. It just means you rest by doing a very easy activity instead of doing nothing at all. Doing nothing at all, your body can get kind of stiff. But if you do some light yoga, or you go for a nice, slow, relaxed walk, this will actually get your blood moving a little bit. Helps your body recover from your hard exercise better. Gets the lactic acid, the other waste products out of your muscles, out of your blood. Gets the new fresh blood getting in there. So a little, some light stretching and a nice relaxing walk is actually a great way to recover from and rest from harder exercises, and it will actually help you exercise more by doing this kind of active rest. Same if you lift weights. Like, say you go and you lift weights and you're doing heavy squats and deadlifts and your whole body's sore. Instead of just laying around, go for a nice relaxing walk and then maybe stretch a little bit. Again, this light activity will actually help your muscles recover faster from your hard workout than if you did nothing at all in between. All right, well, speaking of, I am arriving at the coffee shop. So this is the end of today's walk and talk, kind of a health-focused one today. Move your body. Move your body while you learn. You can do it indoors by jumping around and do all the things I teach you in Power English. In my Power English course, I teach you these techniques to energize your body and your mind to feel super strong and confident as you're learning English with the Power English course. Those techniques are super powerful. That's kind of like the master's level. But for the very basic level, at very least, go for a walk. Go for a walk or a bike ride or something while you listen to the podcast, while you listen to the show. Move your body, strengthen your mind, learn English. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.